Reddit stories often feel unbelievable, but this one was very much true, and as we go through it, I want to warn you, it gets worse and worse. It all started when a man posted on Reddit that he was having a hard time dealing with his wife's infidelity. He had been working long hours and he was just noticing some red flags. His wife was smiling at her phone a lot. She had also added a password to her phone, which she never had before. But when he brought that up, she said it was just to keep a Father's Day gift for him really private. Well, then one day she got in the shower and her phone didn't need the password yet to be unlocked because she had just laid it down. So the husband grabbed it and he saw a text from his wife to the neighbor saying that she was covered in frosting and asking if the neighbor wanted to come and lick it off. He couldn't see any other text messages because she had her phone set to delete them after a certain amount of time. So he chalked this up to possibly just inappropriate humor, but something he needed to keep an eye on. So he starts tracking her location, but he notices that she is turning her GPS off. So he tells her he needs to download an antivirus software on her phone. She hands the phone over, probably feeling confident because her text messages are set to delete, nothing to worry about. Well, the husband was not downloading antivirus software. He was downloading anti-theft software, which allowed him to turn on her GPS if she had turned it off. He also downloaded AT&T text messaging software that would allow him to look at her incoming and outgoing text messages from his computer. And boy, did he find some stuff. This is the couple. The husband is Jason Worley and the wife is Brandi Worley. One day, Brandi and the neighbor's girlfriend decide to go to the movies together. And while they're gone, Jason and the neighbor hang out together at the house while their children play. Well, remember, he has that software so he can see what is coming or going from Brandi's phone. While the neighbor is sitting in this man's house, he starts receiving text messages from Brandi, and she is saying all the things that she wants to do to him. And the man is reciprocating those thoughts. They're also trying to set up a date and time so they can take it all the way. She sends him a video that she also sent to her husband, and it was an inappropriate video from the bathroom of the movie theater. So this guy has had it. The neighbor and the wife, tell each other in that text exchange that they love each other. Jason Worley, he's done with this. So he stays quiet. He wanted to knock the guy out, but he didn't. He waited until his wife and the neighbor's girlfriend got home. He sent the kids to another room and said, "Let's have a chat." He confronts them. She denies it at first, and he shows her proof. And she says, "Okay, yeah, I did send him a text message, but that was the first time. That was the first time." He then asks, "Have you sent him any videos?" And she says, No. He shows her proof. She says, okay, I did, but it was the first time. It was the first time. So obviously, Jason is angry. He has been lied to by his wife of quite a few years, the mother of his two children. So he says, "I'm going to leave you." And she said, "If you do, you will never see your children again." When Jason was in high school, he went through a period and tried to end it, right? Well, she says that she's going to use that against him and ensure that he can have no custody of the children. Even with that, they decide to do a trial separation. So Brandi goes to stay with her parents with the kids, and Jason stays in the home. Well, one day he finds out that she let the kids know what was going on, but the way she explained it to the children was, "Daddy's mad at Mommy, so I can't go home." The son wanted to stay with Jason, and Brandi said, "No, you can't do that." So to this 7-year-old child, that meant, "Daddy is mad at me. If Mommy can't stay there because Daddy is mad, he must be mad at me too." And this told Jason that if he went through with not being with Brandi, she was going to drag their children through hell. So he decided to stay with her for the kids so that they wouldn't go through what he predicted would be a very ugly divorce and not a good time for the kids. Eventually, after receiving a lot of feedback from commenters on Reddit, Jason posts again saying, "Thank you so much for all of the advice. I have my head up my ass. Y'all are right. She doesn't even want to fix this. I am going to file for divorce and custody. I'm seeing an attorney next week." The next update that came out wasn't from Jason, it was from news stations. On November 17th, 2016, in Darlington, Indiana, Brandi Worley called 911 and said that she had just taken her two children's lives and she had harmed herself. Jason Worley was downstairs when all of this happened. He was sleeping. He had no idea that anything was going wrong until he heard his mother-in-law screaming that morning. That's what woke him up, and he ran upstairs. He saw his mother-in-law. He saw his wife, who was injured on the neck, and he heard Brandi Worley say, "Now you can't take my children from me." Investigators would later lay out what happened. The evening prior to this, so on November 16th, Brandi told Jason that she needed to run to the store to buy pipe cleaners for a project. Instead, she bought what would be used that next day against her children and herself. The next morning, she told 7-year-old Tyler to come and have a sleepover in his 3-year-old little sister Charlie's room. That is when she attacked Tyler and took his life. At some point during that attack, authorities say that 3-year-old Charlee woke up and asked her mommy what she was doing. They say Brandi replied nothing, and Charlee went back to sleep. Once Tyler was no longer alive, she then attacked 3-year-old Charlee until she was no longer alive. She then harmed herself, though not good enough in my opinion, and that's when she called 911. Brandi Worley was sentenced to 55 years for taking Tyler's life and 65 years for taking Charlie's life. Those sentences will run consecutively, so Brandi will never leave prison. Now, Jason did come back to Reddit one more time after this happened. In his final update, Jason describes doing as well as he can after this situation. There are bad days, but anybody would expect that. He did struggle with alcohol and mental health after this all unfolded, but he's blessed to have a really strong support system. He described ongoing issues with his in-laws, including them locking him out of the home that he was renting from them with his belongings inside, a legal battle over property, and those in-laws sitting across the street from the children's graves, staring at him while he tries to visit his kids the only way he can now. He did, however, end it on a positive note, reminding us all that you never know when your last moment will be with the people that you love, so treasure them. He also said he was grateful that the last thing his children ever heard from him was, "I love you, good night, I'll see you in the morning." Jason was the one that put his children to bed the last night they would get to do that. I can't imagine what life has been like for Jason since this happened. He actually came out and said that the night before these children's lives were gone, Brandi has suggested that he sleep upstairs on the couch instead of in the basement where he had been sleeping. He still chose to sleep in the basement, but he now wonders if he had slept on that couch, could he have saved his children? Was she asking him to sleep on the couch so that she could also take his life? Those are questions that we can never answer. And I hope, since this happened almost 10 years ago now, that Jason has been able to work through those questions, those what ifs, that guilt. This man loved his children. You can tell that in his Reddit post. He stayed with a woman that cheated on him because he just wanted his children to be okay. I hope that Jason is still surrounded by a strong support system and is doing well now in 2025. And before I go, and most importantly, rest in peace to Tyler Worley, who was 7 years old, and Charlee Worley, who was 3 years old.